The next speakers are here from Peel Police. One thing I'd like to say again is on the theme of things that are very different from back home and here. Back in India, we fear police. But in Canada, police is here to help us. They will help you in every way we can. There's always some bad apples in the group where they need some, enforcement. But in general sense, they're here to help us. So I'd like to welcome Jordan and Cameron to speak a little bit about violence, drugs, fraud, and mental health that is affecting the community at large, as well as international students. So please welcome Jordan and Cameron.
Sat Sri Akal. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd just like to thank you guys for having us here. This is my partner, Jordan Roba. I'd like to thank him and Mandeep from Khalsa Aid for having us here. And I'd also like to thank Khalsa Aid for all the work that you guys do, not just here in Ontario, but all around the world as well. The first topic I want to talk about is violence. And the reason why I'm bringing up some of these topics is because as a police officer, we see the bad side, the dark side of things that happen here in Peel. So I just want to share some of my experiences and some stories in the hopes that you guys will gather this knowledge and be able to prevent these things from happening to you or someone you know. So in terms of violence, there's a number of different ways that we can handle a violent situation. For example, let's just say you and your friend or you and a brother, or it could be a stranger, get into a violent altercation with one another, and police respond to that. As a police officer, we will do a full and thorough investigation, and we have something called discretion, right? So in this case, we can use discretion. And there's three ways that this can go down. One way is both people get charged, right? You get arrested and you end up with a criminal charge. Another way, one person gets charged and one person is a victim in the situation. The third way is we're able to come to an amicable solution between the two of you, an agreement that this won't happen again, and we can let you guys go with a warning, okay? So those are the three ways that can happen. However, when we deal with domestic violence or intimate partner violence, so whether that be between a boyfriend and girlfriend or a husband and wife, the way that police handle these things is completely different than the violent situation that I just described, okay? In the criminal code, when it comes to domestic violence or intimate partner violence, it says you shall arrest if there is evidence pertaining to an assault, okay? So every officer now, when they attend a call, we all have these body cameras on us, all right? They will be recording, and the footage is kept for 7 years. Many, many years ago, the way police may have dealt with some domestic violence situations is that they could just say, okay, sir, go take a walk or go to a friend's house and come back when you're not so angry, right? Nowadays, that cannot happen, all right? If we have evidence of an assault, we shall arrest. That means we have to arrest somebody. Sometimes it's both parties, husband and wife get arrested. Sometimes it's just one, where we try to find the dominant aggressor, okay? The reason why I say this is because sometimes we are called to situations where they just want us to talk to everybody involved. And if we find evidence of an assault, even if it happened a month prior, then we have to arrest that person, right? And people are not aware of this information. So I just want to make you guys aware of how these things are dealt with here in Canada. The next topic is drugs. We're seeing a lot of, not just international students, because if you go around downtown Brampton area or Queen and Kennedy area or Wilkinson Shelter, like Mandeep was talking about earlier, you'll see a lot of people who are addicted to drugs. As you all know, marijuana and alcohol are legal here, but as international students, that's the last thing you guys need to be focused on, right? When it comes to marijuana, the last thing you guys want to do is become lazy and lose your ambition, right? Because that's what's going to get you to the next step of your life here in Canada. And when it comes to alcohol, we've all seen someone drink too much and become violent, right? Again, you're risking your status here. You guys need to be focused on your education, and you guys need to be focused on moving your life forward. But the number one problem that we are seeing, and again, if you go to downtown Brampton, like I was saying, and you see the people begging for money, I would say probably almost 100% of those people are using heroin, all right? Heroin is an opiate. It's extremely, extremely addictive. It becomes very, very difficult for someone to stop using this drug because they become physically dependent on this drug. You can get body aches. Sometimes people, if they stop using it, they can actually pass away. And we're seeing this a lot within some international students here in Canada. And I just want to give you guys a fair warning about it. One story from when I worked in the Homicide Bureau here in Peel Region. There's one gentleman, he was set to get married, and his 3 friends decided it would be a good idea to party right before the wedding. They brought drugs over to his residence. They all did the drugs, and one person woke up. And they weren't doing heroin, but unfortunately, within these drugs was a substance called fentanyl. And it's the most dangerous substance that we as police have witnessed to this day. It's so bad that every officer in Peel Region carries this with them. It's called Narcan, and it's something that if someone is overdosing from a drug, we can put it up their nose and we spray it, and we hope that they come back to life. And heroin overdoses are the #1 killer of young men in North America right now. And the reason for that is fentanyl. These young men who were celebrating their friend's wedding, they didn't know they were doing a heroin or an opiate. They didn't know there was fentanyl in their drugs. And that's why they're no longer here today. Okay? It's very, very dangerous. And I just want you guys to know that. And you guys cannot afford to try drugs anymore, to have recreational use, as they say, with drugs anymore, because one time is enough, and it could be over. As a police officer, they train us, if you suspect it could be fentanyl, you must wear gloves, because we've had officers in the past who have picked up a baggie with residue on it, and that was enough because the powder was absorbing through their skin, and it caused them to have an overdose. So that's how strong it is. The amount of drugs of a few grains of sand are enough to have your heart stop beating or stop your ability for your lungs to breathe in air. Okay, so it's extremely dangerous. You never know what you're getting into, and the best way to not becoming addicted to drugs or alcohol is to never start using it in the first place. Another thing that's affecting international students is frauds. And frauds come in many shapes and sizes, but nowadays we all have cell phones. This is my cell phone here. I got this cell phone from Peel Regional Police, and every single day I'm getting messages to this phone, and it's scam after scam after scam. Okay, so if I'm getting it, I know you guys are probably getting them too. There's Netflix error payments, and there's Interact e-transfer. They're asking for my banking information. Some of them look pretty legitimate. Sometimes I wonder, is there something wrong with, did I not pay my taxes? I have a Canada Revenue Agency scam in here. If you're ever not sure, if you're getting an email that looks like it's from the bank, or from maybe that we have an immigration scam that gets a lot of people, if you're ever unsure, you need to make sure you go to the source. So if you're looking at it and it's asking you, it's saying they're from TD Bank, for example, if you're not sure, go to the bank rather than just putting in your information into the phone. Okay? Because when you go to the bank, what do? They ask for your identification and they ask for your PIN code, and then you can do your banking. Correct? So in that case, you can ask the teller if there's anything going on with my account. Same thing if it's an immigration scam. Maybe they're saying, in the past, people have gotten phone calls and they said, this is Canada immigration. You owe the Canadian government money. If you do not pay us, we are going to send Peel Police to your house, and they're going to arrest you and have you removed from the country. Okay? A lot of people have fallen for this scam, and I just want to make you guys aware of it. And again, go to the source if you are experiencing these scams. Check your profile on the proper government website to see if what's the status of your file, if there's anything going on. Okay? And mental health. The two things, as police officers who are driving around in police cars, the two things we deal with the most is, the first one is domestic violence or domestic issues, and the second one is mental health problems. Students and even people, the citizens of Canada, are all experiencing mental health problems, especially after the isolation caused by the pandemic. So we've already had Punjabi Community Health Services up here, That's a great way of finding help if you don't have a support system around you. And you can use them. You can use Safe Center of Peel. Even as an officer, we have a COAST program, which is an officer plus social worker team. So we can come out and we can visit you, and we can do a clinical assessment as well. And again, these services are free. Okay, so if you don't have a friend or family member that you want to talk to about these issues, then please go to one of these organizations. They're there to help you, and they can help you sort out whatever is stressing you out in your life. And last but not least, winter is coming. So again, this is a great initiative by Khalsa Aid. Too often we do see international students out there freezing, not wearing proper winter attire. Myself as a police officer who's at a moment's notice, I could be stuck outside directing traffic for many hours. We wear long johns under our pants or long underwear. I suggest investing a little bit of money in that to keep yourself warm this winter, especially if you're taking the bus, because you could be out there waiting for a long period of time. For those of you that are going to be driving, now's the time to go out and buy a snow brush. Too often I see guys trying to clear their windshield with their hands. So please go out and buy a snow brush. And when you do brush off your car, brush off the entire thing. Brush off the whole windshield. Too often I see guys, they just brush off enough that they can poke their head through like that. It's like they're driving a tank out there. So please scrape off all the windows, and remember to remove the snow from the top of the roof, because as your car warms up and as the ice thaws, that whole slab of snow from the roof can go down and cover the windshield. You know, we've seen people on the highway leaning out the window trying to scrape the snow off their roof because it's too heavy for the windshield wipers to move. So it's very dangerous, it's very unsafe. And again, for winter safety tips, I'm going to tell a pretty sad story about two students who they were on a date together, and one of them decided to go and slide on the ice on a lake here in Brampton. At this time of the winter, the ice was not strong enough, and he fell through the ice. And then he had a great girlfriend who decided she was going to go save his life, and she ran out on the ice as well, and she also fell through. And it's extremely dangerous, and they were called in missing, and we were only able to find them when about a week and a half later, when neighbors on the street called the car in because it was parked on the street for so long. And we were able to see what happened on someone's camera on the front of their house. So stay off the lakes. Even me as a Canadian who's lived here my whole life, I don't even know how thick the ice has to be in order to support my weight, so I don't risk it. I'm not going to go out there. So just, stay away from all the bodies of water during the winter, please. And again, thank you for having me. You know, as a Brampton resident my whole life, I want to see you guys happy and healthy and constantly improving this city and allowing this city to thrive. So I wish you all the best of luck with your studies. Now is not the time to be focusing on partying with your friends and having a good time. Now is the time to focus on your studies so that you can move on to the next step, whether that's permanent residency or maybe going back home with your education and starting a business there, whatever it may be. I want you guys all to be happy and healthy, and know Peel Police is here to protect you if you do decide to stay. And don't be afraid to call 911 if you see something happening. All right? Thank you, and take care.